In the last few years, vandals stalking around the overgrown tombs have done over £9,000 worth of damage. For the general foreman of the gravediggers, William Law, who's worked here 23 years, it's worsened an already harrowing job.
Down this part here, there's 2 tombs broken into. One on the left-hand side here, the doors were broken open. The coffin was half pulled over and a big iron stake stuck through into the coffin.
These indications of a black ritualism at work aroused the curiosity of Sean Manchester, 26-year-old president of the British Occult Society, an organization that practices the art of white magic, the combat of evil.
Our first report indicated that there may be a vampire in Highgate Cemetery. A spectre was seen at that gate there, appearing to come from here, which leads to the catacombs.
The former associate of Mr. Manchester, Alan Farrant, who used to own this tobacconist shop in Highgate, decided to pay a midnight visit to the cemetery to combat the vampire once and for all. He armed himself with a cross and stake and crouched between the tombstones waiting.
Have you ever seen this vampire?
I have seen it, yes. I saw it last February and I saw it on 2 occasions.
What was it like?
It took the form of a tall, grey figure, and about 8 feet tall, and it seemed to glide off the path without making any noise.
The only certain way of destroying an undead is by driving a wooden stake, like the one I have here, straight through the heart with one blow.
Straight through the heart with just one blow.
You gotta stop it straight in the heart.
That's how I like it.
That was some, what do we want to call that? That was a clip from the BBC about the topic we were covering, which is a Patreon episode. This is the
vampire.
God. What's it called? The Highgate Vampire.
Yep.
My head is in a million different places right now. And I am so sorry, but that's what that's what this one's called, the Highgate Vampire. This is a really good story, Rob. There's a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of vampires, a lot of sucking, a lot of fucking.
I'm down with that.
I don't know if there's a lot of fucking going on.
Yeah, I would assume that there would be. If I've learned anything from vampire movies, is that happens a lot. They're horny as fuck.
They are very horny people. Now, this is a Patreon episode sponsored by our good friend David Forbes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, David. I think it's in the middle of the night there. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get with David or not. I wrote him earlier. I didn't hear anything back. So,
He's just having a bit of tea.
He's having a little bit of tea. Faux show. Now, this episode is also brought to you in part by our Patreon.
Woo!
Our new Patreon pledgers.
Thank you.
And if you are one of them, thank you so much. And now it's time for your very special shout out. Starting with Gabriella Long. Thank you, Gabriella, so much.
Thank you very much. Next, we got Genesis.
I think Genesis is pledged before. I am not sure, but I think so. I do feel like I have seen Genesis before. And also, thank you to Myra. That's it, just Myra. Thank you, Myra.
And then Steven Gonzalez.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Lisa Fidel, thank you, Lisa, so much for your generous Patreon pledge.
We got Patrick and Derek Garcia.
And that's the way to save money, is you get a bunch of your friends to go in on $1 pledge like everyone else here, and then you just all put your names there, and we have to read all your fucking names for $1. That's how that works. But, sorry, I lost my fucking self right there. Nathan Powell, thank you, Nathan, so much for your Patreon pledge.
And this name, I have no fucking
prayer. I missed this one.
Michael Canigliaro.
I think you've nailed that on the first try.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. And thank you to Wyatt Ruckerfucker so much for your Patreon pledge, Wyatt.
And Thomas Charlie, thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
if you would like to have your name shouted out at the beginning of the Brohio podcast,
Yeah.
it's just as simple as paying $1 on the Patreon website. That's patreon.com/Brohio podcast. Now, oftentimes, I will start the episodes with a brief newspaper article, something I scour the interwebs and I find. Today is no different, Rob Dog.
Okay.
I think we forgot to say who we were. Because we always say, I'm Nick and I'm Rob.
Yeah, okay.
But I think they know.
Yeah, I'm Rob Dog, if not.
Yeah. Am I the only person that calls you Rob Dog?
Besides myself, yeah.
Besides yourself. All right. This article comes the way of... Ooh, I don't remember where I got it from. I normally like to cite my sources on this.
I see a Fox News thing. But...
Yeah, I think it came from somewhere besides that, though.
Okay.
In 2018, it's felt impossible to get away from reports of inappropriate sexual behavior plaguing a bevy of industries and workplaces from Hollywood to the restaurant industry. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Well, bad news. Apparently, even the ocean isn't safe
Aw.
because someone has decided to shove a cucumber straight up their asshole. Women who work as professional mermaids at theme parks, aquariums, and children's birthday parties say they're increasingly besieged by inappropriate attention from people they've termed merverts.
I like that. That's a good term.
I've been swimming with sharks. Hold on a second. This is a quote from a mermaid. So I'm going to use my mermaid accent.
That's good dialect.
Quote, I've been swimming with sharks, and that to me is not as scary as dealing with some of these aggressive men, Canadian mermaid Stephanie Norman told Fox.
Damn.
Some people just imagine relationships that aren't there.
Okay.
Those are called fucking creeps.
We've been there.
Like bronies of the sea, the merverts flock to their flippered targets online and in person to make obscene comments and send and solicit lewd pictures. Yeah, to launch out them dick pics like fucking Kim Jong-un launching off a rocket. They're giving the phrase chasing tail a whole new meaning. I get to see what you did there.
I see what they did.
Apparently, across the pond, mermaiding has ballooned into a full-blown mermaid economy, although multiple women have been reprimanded for wearing their tails in public pools, according to the Telegraph. The trend has also reached Hong Kong, where a business called Aquaticity charges hundreds of dollars for mermaid master classes teaching people to swim and pose in tails. The South China Morning Post reported last year a woman who goes by Mermaid Cat has opened mermaid schools in Thailand, Germany, and Australia. What a fucking gig, buddy.
Sounds like a failing business waiting to happen for me.
And on Instagram, Mermania has spawned its own sub-trend. Mermaid-themed maternity photo shoots. Mermama Mia.
What?
Professional mermaids, for their part, talk to each other and help each other stay safe, Norman said. Us mermaids have strategies, and we all tend to share this information with each other, she said. If there's one particular individual who's harassing a lot of mermaids, we all get together and everybody makes sure that their social media is blocking that person.
Oh, okay. They're a nice little community.
It's a community of
Mer people.
Mer people. And this goes back to our live show, Rob. I spoke briefly about it when Robin Williams plays in Hook. And they tie him up, they throw him off the plank. And he goes down, he starts making out with the mermaids. That for me.
You got it in.
That was hot for me when I was a kid. I really enjoyed that.
I have always had a thing for the Little Mermaid, so.
Now, we take the kids to Disney.
There's
Ariel, she's always there, and the kids get excited. And it looks...
She's hot.
The fucking fin is grounded to the one we went to. It was like part of the rock she was sitting on. So it was really weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like a bad mall Santa, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Only a little bit worse. Now, this story centers around... I think we're ready to get to the story.
Okay, let's go for it.
We were going to live stream on Twitch, but I don't feel like setting it up.
No.
Maybe next week.
Maybe.
You can hit us up on Twitch. Hit us up on wherever. It's all at Brohio Podcast.
Yeah, we're everywhere. Find us.
We are everywhere. And like I said, the story centers around the Highgate Cemetery in North London, England. And I really, all this week I was talking to myself. And every time I talked to myself, it was in a British accent. So hopefully...
You gotta get that mastered, man.
Yeah, gotta get that mastered.
Everybody hates whenever we do the accents, because they're always...
I think my British accent sounds Australian. And my Australian accent doesn't sound like anything. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It kind of sounds like that mermaid accent.
Now, They started burying people in this cemetery in around about 1839, so right about the turn of the start of the World War II there. There are two sides of the cemetery, the west side of the cemetery and the east side of the cemetery. That's pretty fucking simple, Rob Dog.
West side.
Right. Well, both sides definitely have something going on. What that is for sure, I don't know if we'll ever figure that out. But
yeah.
But present day, one side you have to pay to tour it, and the other side is not. I don't think it's open to the public. You got to set an appointment to go through that side.
Mm-hmm.
But this cemetery, man, is just absolutely incredible. I mean, the way it is truly it's a sight to see. From all the pictures I saw, it's incredible.
What would Cemetery Terry say about it?
He said, I was trying to sneak through there, trying to slither through the cemetery, and I couldn't do shit because they don't cut the fucking grass there. They got the overgrown vegetation growing up on top of the headstones. I'm trying to set my booby traps. People just walk on by because they just getting all tangled up in the ivy and the grass and the shit. I can't do fucking shit at this goddamn cemetery. There's too much shit going on for Cemetery Terry to do anything here. I can't be sneaking around, looking up people's pant legs and shit when I'm too busy trying to not fall over my own goddamn pant legs. You know what I'm saying? That's what Cemetery Terry would say.
I love that guy.
Now, the cemetery was initially open to be part of the Magnificent Seven cemeteries.
That is classy.
Yeah, there's a big group of cemeteries that was kind of built all at once.
Mm-hmm.
They were all private cemeteries, and they were built to help with the overcrowding of the parish cemeteries. So the churches are like, we don't really have much more room to bury our fucking dead. So then they had to start building new cemeteries because the churches wouldn't accept any more dead bodies.
That is a wild problem to have. We don't have enough land for all the fucking corpses.
You gotta think, we're gonna get to that point eventually.
Yeah.
And I think here, they're kind of packing them and stacking them, just 4 deep, 5 deep.
Hey, might as well make use of the land.
And I don't think I had it in my notes. There's one specific, vault here. Someone that's buried. I don't remember the name. It was someone that was killed in 2006 from radiation poisoning,
mm-hmm.
but they had to bury this person in a special vault and put him 12 feet below ground. And one problem they had at this specific cemetery is they're putting them in like these special airtight vaults, and the gases that are produced from the body mix with the lead that was inside the vaults, and it was creating explosions. So these fucking tombs were just blowing up.
Just exploding bodies.
Bones flying around and shit. A fucking head rolls up. How you doing? Take me out of my fucking misery. So that's one of the problems they had here. And to alleviate that problem, you start putting holes in the top of these vaults, these tombs, and these catacombs and shit. So these gases they couldn't fucking turn on them,
Oh, yeah.
But right now, as it stands, they have around 170,000 graves at Highgate Cemetery. The families that buried their dead there tried to keep outdoing one another, so you have a lot of big fancy grave memorials. There's one gravestone. There's an angel, looks like a fallen angel, and she's just laying on the gravestone. She's like a full-length, 6-foot-long body just laying down on top of this gravestone. It's really,
man,
it really is a sight to see. There's some gorgeous pictures that people have taken here.
I couldn't imagine how much that would cost.
And like I said, back then they were just all trying to outdo one another, so it was well-to-do to have a special headstone, but as my fucking dad always says, they don't bury you with your fucking wallet, so what's it fucking matter what your headstone looks like?
I just want a rock with like Sharpie on it.
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
Cremate my ass.
Or that.
Take me to the Charmin factory so they can turn me into shit tickets.
Just put me in bake me in like a loaf of bread, like my ashes, and just feed me to ducks by a pond. I'll be happy.
They're all dead. They're all dying. Now, over the years, the cemetery has fallen into great disrepair. To the way it is now, there's no rehabbing something like this. It's just it is a absolutely gorgeous cemetery, but it has gone through hell and back as far as people doing bad things to the gravestones and vandalism. It is currently a Grade 2 register with the historic parks and gardens there in Great Britain. And what's mostly associated with this cemetery is the tale that we're going to tell you. The tale we're going to tell you. Tale will tell. Tale will tell. The Highgate Vampire. This is the tale of the Highgate Vampire, Rob. Are you afraid of vampires?
No.
Absolutely no fear.
No.
towards vampires here at the Brohio Podcast.
None at all.
Rob fears no vampire.
Yeah.
I will fucking kill one right now. I don't care. I'm not afraid of vampires.
They seem pretty easy to kill.
I've chipped teeth before. I don't fucking care, Rob.
Yeah.
I will fight a vampire. Without garlic.
That's pretty gutsy.
Garlic's for spaghetti, not fighting vampires, unless you're a big pussy. Now, running through the middle of Highgate Cemetery is Swain's Lane, and a lot of the stuff that you're going to hear about initially, as far as people that have seen things here, are associated around Swain's Lane here. It's just a small sidewalk or a trail that separates the east and west portions of the cemetery.
You just gotta walk down old Swain's Lane and you'll be right there.
I was swinging my dick around, walking down Swain's Lane, trying to find me a nice, what do they call, find me a really good-looking swamp donkey.
A crumpet.
A crumpet. What the fuck is a crumpet?
It's like a trumpet,
yeah,
but it plays crunk music.
What? If you don't give a fuck, just blow it up. Okay.
All right. We're done. We're so done here. What's the trumpet that plays crunk music?
It's a crumpet.
You never went to the basketball games in high school, but when we would go, we would all buy the red gallon jugs of gas from AutoZone, like empty ones that never been used, and we'd fill them up full of Gatorade, and we'd walk into the gym, and we'd carry these jugs of gas, and we'd drink from them.
Bottoms up.
And then one day, the athletic director's like, "What are you drinking?" I said, I'm drinking fruit punch. Gatorade, bro.
It's fucking rocket fuel, man.
It's gonna fucking, you need me out there, I'll go play. I'm not very good, but I'll go out there. Now, the first sightings of anything ghostly was in the early 1960s. A pair of teenage girls were they were taking a little stroll through the cemetery. This was at a time when graffiti artists were running rampant at night. They were just running around, spray painting dicks and vaginas on everything. It didn't fucking matter. Nothing was safe there at the cemetery. The girls claimed they saw the dead rising from their graves.
Okay, that's
so.
specific.
This is where it gets a little scary, okay, Rob Dog?
All right, I'm ready.
Could you imagine how much of a slut these girls were dressed like if the fucking dead people were trying to rise up through the ground to see them? You got to check your daughters before they leave the house. You got to see what they're wearing under their clothes, because you know the old trick. They get out front, they pull their clothes off, they throw it in the trash, and they're wearing a fucking two-piece bathing suit underneath, and there you are, snoozing on them, thinking they're playing a fast one on you.
Getting all the stiff.
Getting all the stiff. They said, coming up to see that pussy. Fucking sluts. Now, the first reported run-in with the Highgate Vampire was a night in 1963. That was the summer I bought my first real six-string. A couple was walking, again, down Swain's Lane when they observed a tall, dark figure floating behind the railings of the North Gate. They reported that the figure was just lurking at the gate, and the most terrifying part was the contorted, ghoulish face that this specter possessed. And some say that the reason his face was all contorted is because he was caught mid-masturbation, and he couldn't finish cranking one out. He caught him with his I guess it's a ghoul. He caught him with his skirt up, or whatever a ghoul would wear. I picture him wearing like a Grim Reaper type hood, something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
But I cannot confirm whether he was masturbating. I don't know.
I would assume
he was giving the demon dick a good yank.
What else do you have to do?
Exactly.
That's what I would do.
Now, these sightings of this creature, it did not stop there. This creature, ghost, specter, whatever it is, over the coming weeks and months, sightings were pouring in over the ghoulish creature. One gentleman was walking his dog when he observed it slithering atop the North Gate, Rob Dog.
The dog or the ghoul?
The dog. At first hand, the dog is like
it was just slithering.
Like the dog from Family Guy. He's got both of his breasts. Slithers around. I'm just up there slithering around like a goddamn snake.
It's just a barking snake. He's bilingual. Don't judge him.
That's why I say it right from about to take a piss. I'm like, who wants to hear the barking snake? Better take me a big old pee-pee in this urinal real quick. Oh, man. Now, so we got the account of the gentleman with his dog here. Now, the reports didn't stop. Everyone kept seeing this gray, ghoulish figure kind of floating around the cemetery, and people were coming from all over to see this thing. We've talked about it in stories before. There was a place called Library Park, just not too far from here, in Miamisburg, Ohio, there was a woman, a phantom woman, every night that would appear in the graveyard. She would just float over the graveyard. And thousands of people were coming to the city to see her. They were gathering around the cemetery, and the people of Miamisburg are like, man, fuck this. And they chased them away. They dug up all the dead bodies and moved them and shit. The locals get pissed off about this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, they definitely do.
But what can you do? But prior to all these sightings, this cemetery was the hotspot for teenagers that wished to practice satanic rituals.
Always teenagers.
Goddamn teenagers and their devil worshiping shit.
Damn Satanists.
Yeah, they were doing all kinds of fucking shit there. The Victorian-themed graves and the all-around spookiness of the cemetery seemed like a good spot. Suck on some fags and worship the devil.
Oh, man.
You all right, Rob?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
You've never heard of sucking on fags before?
Yeah, I have actually.
Okay. In Great Britain, that's what it's called to smoke a cigarette. You're sucking on a fag. If you're in the Brohio studio and you say, I'm sucking on a fag, that means you're smoking a cigarette. Or, that's really the only meaning it means in the Brohio studios.
Yeah.
If you're sucking on a fag, you're just smoking a cigarette.
Oh, jeez.
You've never had a cigarette before?
No, I haven't actually.
Because when I was about 12 years old, I took a long, strong suck on a fag. And ever since then, I can look at my kids and say, listen, if you guys ever suck on fags, I'm not going to hate you for it. I'll be okay with it. You know, some fags are easier to suck on than others. There's light fags.
Cool fags.
There's cool menthol fags. There's hand-rolled fags. There's brown fags. There's white fags. I mean, there's all kinds of fags out there to suck on.
Hey.
But cigarettes are not the end of the world, okay? And here at the Brohio Podcast, if you smoke cigarettes, we're not mad at you. Just do your thing.
Yeah. Be you, baby boo.
Be you. No. I lost my spot here, Rob. Yeah. So they're using this place to worship the devil. Okay, they've got the creepy setting. They've got all this stuff going on. But this is before the spotting of the phantom ghost flying around this place.
Okay.
All of the media frenzy over the evil that was possibly lurking in the cemetery brought the attention of a fucking modern day vampire hunter, Rob.
That's great. I love that that's really a thing.
He was a self-proclaimed modern day Van Helsing is what he called himself.
Is that like do you have to put that on your resume?
Yeah. What
you're applying at Arby's.
Right.
It's like, what's it say about?
I'm looking at your resume right here, and you're showing about an 8-year gap in employment. You gotta explain that? Yes, I will explain that right now. As a matter of fact, I was vampire hunting in northern London. I also kill werewolves. Is Sean Connery from Great Britain? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay, then why am I using a Sean Connery impression?
Just run with it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Now, all the media frenzy, it's, they got it all stirred up. All the local news outlets grabbed onto this thing, and they're putting it in the news because there's so many sightings of this gray phantom ghost.
Mm-hmm.
In steps David Farrant. And remember the name David Farrant because he's one of the major players in this story. He's the one that says he was the modern-day Van Helsing. David Farrant was also a Wicca enthusiast, and he was the head of the British Psychic and Occult Society.
Of course, naturally.
I don't have any idea what that is.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Mr. Farrant.
Just looking at pictures of David Farrant, looking at some interviews with him,
and
it looks like someone tried to dress Keith Richards up as a witch, because fucking Keith Richards looks like he's been hit by a car and shit on. This guy looks like he's been hit with a car, shit on, and then someone tried to dress him up.
I pictured him looking at like John Denver.
Oh, dude, he is rough. He's
like Iggy Pop.
Yeah, he looks like he's been fucking embalmed. It's pretty fucking rough, dude.
He's a lizard person.
Yeah, you can check him out on the interwebs there. Just
I'm gonna do that right now.
Do a Google David Farrant. Oh, he's rough, man. So David said, I ain't afraid of no vampires. He stayed the night in the cemetery in December of 1969. And you reported that he did observe a gray figure. You're looking at pictures of him right now.
He fucking really does.
He looks like
Keith Richards.
He looks like he's been hit by a fucking car and left in a ditch to die.
Good for him.
Yeah. But David said, I'm going to stay in the cemetery. And then in December of 1969, he stayed in the cemetery, and he did see the gray figure that was stalking, and he said it was stalking him and moving throughout the cemetery, following him around. And at one point, David said that the specter pinned him down on his back and put his legs behind his head and shoved a head of garlic in his ass. And the ghost is like, yeah, if you're ever going to come in here and mess with me, you're going to deal with spaghetti farts. As soon as you get this garlic out of your butt, maybe you'll be able to live a normal life. But until then, you need to quit fucking with me. Quit fucking with my territory right here. You're going to have spaghetti farts until you get that head of garlic out of your butt.
I don't imagine that would feel good.
I don't think it would be that bad. If you got a lot of...
It might burn a little.
Vegetable oil on it. You could probably get it in there pretty easily, honestly.
Pretty deep.
Real deep. What are you in for? I got a head of garlic stuck in my butt. I'm a vampire hunter. Now, to help solidify his own theories, David Farrant wrote about his experience in Hampstead and Highgate Express. I think that's some type of newspaper / magazine there in the GB. He also asked for stories from others that may have experiences stemming from the cemetery. And this is what he wrote to the Hampstead and Highgate Express. He said, "Some nights I walk home past the gates of Highgate Cemetery. On 3 occasions I've seen what appeared to be a ghost-like figure inside the gates of the top of Swain's Lane. The first occasion was on Christmas Eve." Now, what kind of fucking asshole ditches his family to go fucking hunt vampires on Christmas Eve?
Vampires on Christmas Eve.
Oh, man. The first occasion was on Christmas Eve. I saw a grey figure for a few seconds before it disappeared into the darkness. The second sighting a week later was also brief. Last week, the figure appeared only a few yards inside the gates. This time, it was there long enough for me to see it much more clearly, and now I can think of no other explanation than this apparition being supernatural. I have no knowledge in the field, and I would be interested to hear if any other readers have seen anything of this nature. Signed, David Farrant, Priestwood Mansions.
I love how he thinks about for like a second, and he's like, "He's got to be supernatural.
It's got to be supernatural.
It's got to be
super freak, she's super freaky." And then there was someone that wrote back. His name was Kay Frewen from North Hill. He said, with reference to the letter in last week's Ham and High, many local people have seen Mr. Farrant's ghost in Highgate Cemetery. The ghost will sometimes appear nightly for about a week and then not be seen again for perhaps a month. To my knowledge, the ghost always takes the form of a pale figure and has been reappearing for several years. And then another person wrote back to the magazine as well. He said, a frightening experience occurred on the Heath. I was passing beside the viaduct pond when a figure on the far right side beckoned me. As I approached, the figure started wading into the water, staring at me with a horrific look. It continued into the pond, motioning me to follow. I knew that what I was looking at was not human, as there were no ripples in the water around it. With a terrible cry, the head disappeared beneath the still water, leaving me trembling.
Wonder what would have happened if he would have followed him in there.
I see you up on the bank crying, watching me float around in the water, but don't you know that even fucking ghosts have to go take a piss sometimes? And it's a lot fucking easier for me to go knee deep in this water and take me a little tinkle.
That was like his kink. He just wanted to be watched.
A little wee-wee.
Come watch me drop this deuce.
You ever pooped in water like that before?
I have not.
The absolute worst feeling in the water is being totally submerged, like up to your neck per se. Pushing your butt out and pooping, and this has happened to me in a lake before. This is why I'm talking about this. Okay. You push your butt out. You're just like, I'm pooping the water. Everyone's seen that video on Facebook that's going around the guy shitting in the lake water.
Yeah.
He just blows like a tornado out of his ass. When I pooped, it was solid. And what does, some objects sink and some objects rise to the surface. When I pooped, it came to the surface, and when it comes out of your butt, it tumbles up your back and makes contact the entire time until it hits the back of your head, and then it just floats off.
Unless you're like taking a shit ass up.
I had little brown foot marks all the way up my back where this thing climbed my spine like fucking Mount Pooperist. Fucking jumped off my shoulders into the water. Well, Jesus. But they had dozens upon dozens of people respond to this magazine/newspaper article. Just everyone had stories, different stories about this ghoul, this demon, this witch, this vampire, whatever it was that was inhabiting Highgate Cemetery. There was lots of accounts. And normally in a situation like this, the most credibility that you can shine on something is by having several witnesses or several people involved with something like this. There was lots of people that claimed they'd seen it, but there was also other types of figures that were seen in the cemetery. There's a top hat man that roams the cemetery. It looks like he's probably from the Victorian era.
Good day.
Yeah. Hello, just waiting for the trolley. Do they ride the trolley? And I think they do. I'm pretty sure they do.
Nah, sounds right.
Yeah, but there was also, they would hear bells and disembodied voices in the cemetery.
Ooh.
So this just isn't a vampire. Not a vampire at all. Now, David, when he stayed the night, David Farrant, one strange thing that he dealt with, he was finding animal carcasses littered throughout the cemetery. Most of these animal carcasses were foxes, but the strange things about these foxes, they were void of all blood.
Like someone sucked the blood right out of their asses. Because if I was sucking blood out of an animal, I would start at the ass.
Who doesn't like a good stone cold fox?
Me.
Okay.
Okay. Count me in.
Thank you.
Yeah. So at this point, I know what you're thinking, Rob. You're probably looking at the pictures of David Farrant. You're probably reading my story I've told you thus far, and you're saying this is a bunch of fucking tutti frutti. Okay, I don't believe this shit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's true. I think he's a fucking nut job. But the stories kept pouring in about the things that were happening at the cemetery. It just wasn't David Farrant. I think he let the media frenzy consume him and kind of get to the point where he couldn't focus on anything else in his life besides finding this imaginary vampire. Or was it an imaginary vampire? Was it possibly a real vampire? I believe in vampires. Don't you?
No.
Okay. That's sad, Rob.
I know.
That's sad.
I don't know how I live with myself.
Now he's not our only main character here. David Farrant is not the only main character. In steps Bishop Sean Manchester.
Sean Manchester.
He was another main player in the story. Remember that name, Sean Manchester. Now, what church was he the bishop of? I have no fucking clue. As far as I could research into this subject, I couldn't find any church. They said the Old Catholic Church, I think is what they said.
Yeah, okay, it's specific.
The Old Catholic Church, it's like, no, that's not bloody true at all. Not a chance. He was an exorcist as well as a bishop.
Yeah.
And he was a self-proclaimed vampire hunter just like Farrant. Sean,
it's so oddly specific.
I know.
I'm a bishop who also moonlights as a vampire hunter.
An exorcism and a vampire hunter.
Right.
The original newspaper article, they called a vampire with a W. Like, it's so much more fun to say. It's so much more fun to say. Vampire. Sean Manchester said it wasn't just an ordinary vampire we were dealing with here. He said this was a fucking vampire. This was the king vampire of the dead.
Dracula?
Yeah, there was a lot. The stories that Sean Manchester tells can be closely associated with, was it Bram Stoker's?
Yeah.
Whatever that fucking thing is.
Braun Strowman.
But yeah, Braun Strowman's vampire. Whatever. He said, this king vampire was from the 15th century.
Ooh.
Yeah. He was a Romanian nobleman. He practiced black magic in Wallachia, which is where Dracula was from.
Wallachia.
Wallachia. Never mind.
I won't go to Wallachia.
During the infinite travels of this Mandingo vampire, and we call him the Mandingo vampire because he was the king vampire, he somehow found himself in quite the predicament. He got buried somehow.
Oh, damn it. Don't you hate when that happens?
Highgate Cemetery. There I was, taking a nap on the sidewalk when I woke up and I was buried. Someone put me in a box and buried me in the ground.
If I had a quarter for every time that happened.
And the strangest thing was, what's the first thing you do when you wake up from a long nap? You take a long piss. So there I am, squatting in the middle of the pond, taking a piss. It all interlinks, Rob.
It really does.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah.
After a few hundred years of all the prior satanic rituals that these kids were doing in the cemetery, drummed up this motherfucker, and he was roaming about the cemetery just looking for everyone and anything. So they're doing these satanic rituals. This guy's been taking, a few 100-year-long nap there at Highgate Cemetery.
Your bones ache after a while.
And someone hit the flat C or I don't know what note they hit, but whatever it did, it woke up the Mandingo Vampire. He said, I'm ready to fucking party. I'm getting up. I'm going to drink. We're gonna have some fish and chips. And we're either fighting or fucking. Absolutely. He was ready to go.
Oh, I'm sure.
But this is where it gets fun, okay, Rob?
I'm ready for fun.
Sean Manchester and David Farrant, they fucking hated each other with the fire of a razor-burnt penis.
That's horrible.
They would not conduct interviews with people if the intentions of that person was to speak with both of them.
So they were in a dick measuring contest.
They absolutely were. And you can tell by the pictures of David Farrant.
I'm sure the bishops win in that one.
he did not have much dick to offer right there. That's right, I've got a dick. It's a sick dick, but nonetheless, it's a dick. So we are locked into a serious pissing contest right here. And when I say pissing contest, these guys literally got into a pissing contest. They did, in terms of what I'm familiar with, the pissing contest they partook in, they put their pee holes together and they pee at each other as hard as they can, but their pee holes have to be touching.
Okay.
And then whoever has pee come out of their butt first loses the pissing contest.
I lose that every time. My bowl just kind of flaps.
Not that one time.
Yes, I did one once.
I lost that one time. But yeah, you just got to put the little pee holes together, just like you're making two little action figures kiss.
Yeah.
Open mouths. And you pee in each other's pee-pees really hard. And I like to call them pee-pees because I think that's cute.
Watch your balls fill up real quick.
Yeah, and I'm doing this with my hand right now for Rob.
Yeah.
And you pee into the other's pee-pee. And then if you can make pee come out of the other person's butt, you fucking win.
That's the best visual ever.
And I practice when I go to the bathroom because I am ready for a pissing contest at any given moment.
Put your finger over your dick hole, your thumb. Start pissing like
a fire hose. Like putting a car on a fire hose. When that car comes off that fire hose, it's taking off, buddy. But before they refused to do interviews, they did do an interview on ITV where I think ITV didn't really tell them that they were both going to be interviewed, but they aired the story and they spoke to both Farrant and Manchester to talk to them about their accounts. This interview aired on Friday the 13th, 1970. And by that night, hundreds upon hundreds of teenagers descended upon Highgate Cemetery and made it into the cemetery.
Once again, always the fucking teenagers.
Yeah, they were looking for vampires. They were armed with garlic, crosses, and porterhouse steaks. Okay?
Yummy.
Giant 11-ounce porterhouse steaks. They were going to drive them through the heart of the vampire if they found them. There were reports that night from several different parties that said there was a gray specter that was observed, but they were not able to stab the specter that night. What is the information that I got? But nonetheless, the media frenzy was created. Okay, so they had hundreds upon hundreds of teenagers breaking into the cemetery that night. And I guess in Great Britain, Friday the 13th is a big thing as well.
Nice. Okay, cool.
There's a lot of fun there. I think this is more of Sean Manchester's night than it was David Farrant's night, because during the ITV newspaper, the news thing on television, David Manchester said, as a matter of fact, we'll be there tonight, Friday the 13th, where we're going to look for the vampire.
He's plugging it.
He was plugging it hard. Now, late in his book, Manchester would eventually go on to write some books about his experiences. He would recount his experience from that night, that specific night, Friday the 13th, 1970. His small group entered through some bent and broken railings in the cemetery. He was led to a catacomb by a psychic, sleepwalking female companion.
Oh, gosh.
Jesus Christ.
That poor lady.
They're pushing her around in a fucking wheelchair. But she she took him right where he needed to go.
I wonder if she has to be asleep to be psychic.
I think that's the kind of the vibe I'm getting here.
Because that's oddly specific.
It is,
They're just like naming things that happens.
No! Don't wake her! Don't wake her up. I need her.
They couldn't get the door open to the catacomb, but they knew this is where they needed to direct their attention. So, Sean Manchester, being the fucking vampire slugging son of a bitch that he was, he said, I'm getting in. It doesn't matter, hell or high water. I don't care if you got tea, if you got crumpets, if you got fucking waffles. I don't think waffles is a Great Britain thing. That's Belgium, actually.
Yeah.
I don't care if you got tea. I don't care if you got crumpets. I don't care if you got crooked fucking teeth. We were getting in that motherfucker, okay? Now, he made his way through the roof. And he advised in his book that the roof was already open. Which it could...
Who left the fucking roof open?
Yeah. It could have been deteriorated from... I knew they would put holes in some of the tombs to help alleviate the exploding tombs.
Yeah.
So it could fall along those lines.
It's just a retractable roof.
It is. It's a dome
Hey.
for rainy days. I like to play the field anyways. In this catacomb, he found a group of completely empty coffins. He filled the coffins with garlic, holy water, and human feces.
Okay.
Because no one likes to sleep in their own shit. There's some people out there from England that died in their own shit.
Just throw a couple floaters in there.
No, but really, he said he filled the coffins with garlic and holy water. Now, everything was quiet for a few months. They thought, he found the tomb where these vampires had originated from. I performed an exorcism in the tomb. I put some garlic, some holy water in there. This thing is done. Then, 5 months later, the remains of a headless woman whose body was fucking burned was found near the catacomb.
Ooh.
Police said this was part of a black magic ritual. That's so cool. The police immediately jumped to that. Like, oh yeah, it's just a basic black magic ritual.
It sounded like they had that answer planned
It's
already.
a bunch of fucking wankers, teenage wankers out there in the North Highgate Cemetery.
Just burning bodies and decapitating them.
Yeah. Now, all the stirring that had been caused by the media frenzy only intensified the satanic rituals that were being practiced in the cemetery. They found this dead body. More people came. They started doing shit. But these kids were not only... This was not the only incident, the burned body. Bodies were getting dragged out of their graves by these teenagers.
A bunch of fucking assholes.
And they were staking them in the heart once they got them out of their graves. At one point, there was a fucking car parked close to the cemetery, and police found a headless corpse in it. Hey, buddy, what are you doing in there? Oh, just leave me alone. I'm trying to get my head together.
But bumps.
Yeah.
You fucking teenagers across the pond are weird.
Yeah, they are. They're like, oh, I got a great idea. Let's take this body, let's pop its fucking head off, and let's set it in that Volkswagen over there. Sounds like a great time, doesn't it, chap? Oh, man, what a bunch of fucking dickheads. So with the cemetery buzzing again, Sean Manchester, and David Farrant had rock-hard dicks again, and they were ready to find this thing and kill it once and once for all. David Farrant began to sleep outside the cemetery, waiting for his moment to pounce on this thing. I'll sit here for as long as it takes. I spent the whole night here on Christmas. I'll spend the rest of my life here waiting for this stupid fucking thing. So David, he was about it. I don't think he was necessarily prepared as Manchester was. But as far as David Farrant sleeping outside the parking lot, the local police said, nah, fam, no. They found Farrant in a nearby churchyard, and he was carrying a crucifix and a 12-ounce Delmonico steak in his waistband that he was going to use to drive through the heart of the vampire if he found it.
He's ready.
They said, you're going to fucking jail, dude. And this kind of signified an end for old David at this point. So I think he kind of bowed out. He said, all right, I don't think I'm really going to catch this fucking thing, and the cops are fucking with me. I think all the charges that were brought upon him that night were eventually dropped. When he goes to court, he's just trying to tell him, I'm
fucking hunting vampires.
I'm looking for vampires.
Vampires.
Now, Sean Manchester, you ask? No, he was not done. He seemed to be a little bit more calculated with his attacks and his explorations. Around the same time David Farrant was arrested, Sean Manchester showed up to the cemetery with this blind, psychic, sleepwalking female companion again.
I love her.
This time, and I think the way this plays out, he runs into this girl later on, and we will get to that. This time, he was led to a different vault. And inch by inch, the group of people were able to pry open the vault. Together, they removed the lid off of one of the coffins. Their understanding was this coffin was magically transported from another vault in question.
Okay.
I don't know what was much more desirable about this vault opposed to the one they found, a few months prior. Now, Manchester was prepared to drive a 16-ounce sirloin steak through the heart of the corpse as well. When he was stopped by one of his followers, they convinced him that this probably wasn't a fucking good idea, Rob Dog. And, he resisted, and he left the body where it was at. He threw some holy water in it, threw some garlic in it, and then they left the vault, and it said that he made like a cement garlic paste that he sealed the doors with when he closed the vault. End of story. No. Years later, in 1977, so we're talking fucking 10, 15 years after the fact, I guess? No, 7 years. Sean Manchester had continued his investigations into the whereabouts of this vampire.
He just won't let it go?
He will not let it go. There was a mansion near the cemetery that was brought to his attention via his followers. They said, this mansion is haunted. There's all kinds of fucking terrible shit going on with it. All kinds of horrible things going on. You got to go check it out. You're the Bishop, Manchester. You're the fucking man. You need to go check it out, man. Now, Manchester and his associates broke into the mansion and discovered a coffin in the basement, Rob. So who just casually keeps a fucking coffin in their basement?
I know, I don't.
It's for my fucking Halloween decorations. Won't you kids get out of my fucking house?
Man.
Get out of my bloody fucking house.
I mean, eventually you'll run out of storage, so I guess.
Fucking wankers. Now, they dragged it into the backyard. And when they dragged it into the backyard, they opened the casket. They opened the coffin. And what do you think they found when they opened this coffin?
Surprise me.
My name's Bill Wilkins, and I'm 73 years old, and I died in my own shit.
I'm surprised.
I was hanging out in the basement in a coffin trying to take a nap. I was laying there for quite a long time because, as you know, I died in my own shit. You know what it's like to lay in eternity with a shitload of shit all up and down your ass.
I can imagine it doesn't feel or smell good.
You have a hairy ass, Rob?
Very.
You know what it feels like to shit your pants with a hairy ass?
I don't.
Fucking terrible, Rob.
One could imagine.
Fucking Bill. So they dragged this coffin out in the backyard. They open it, and when they open the coffin, Manchester claims he saw the vampire that he'd seen 7 years earlier. And he was leaving little to no chance this time, and he drove a huge 11-ounce filet mignon steak through the heart of this vampire. And when he did this, the being inside the casket disintegrated into a foul, slimy, stinky substance. He then burned the coffin.
I think that was Bill Wilkins.
It was.
I was sitting there trying to mind my own goddamn business, and these kids broke in. They started making fun of my dick. I said, this is the best demon dick you'll ever see. My name's Bill Wilkins, and I'm 73 years old, and I died in my own shit.
I love Bill.
So some people would say, let's go check out that mansion. We got to go back and see what Sean Manchester's talking about. Not happening, Rob.
Aww.
They burnt the mansion down. Not these specific kids. And it didn't get burnt down either. I made that part up. They tore it down.
Kids being kids.
They built an apartment complex over it.
Oh, that's smart.
Do they have Section 8 housing in Great Britain? Because that's probably what it was. Now, like I said, they tore down the mansion. They built some apartments. End of story? right?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
we got
okay.
we got a couple more things going on here. Years later, there were reports in the media of dead animals drained of their blood popping up, being discovered in Finchley. Manchester believed the culprit was indeed a vampire, but not the Highgate Vampire. This was the vampire that was created by the bite of the Highgate Vampire.
He's just reproducing.
I'm out here biting shit. I'm fucking bitches. I'm getting money. They trying to fuck my shit up.
Manchester said that a woman named Lucia had come to him in his dreams.
Oh, I like that.
And he said that she was being very sexually violent towards him in his dreams.
Okay.
He said that she was spitting blood out of her mouth and her eyes.
All right.
And right whenever, I think the way he said it, right when she was about to climax or he was about to climax, he would snap out of the dream.
Oh, damn it. Every time.
But
Fuck.
she was up. And I don't know why I didn't have this in my notes, but going further back, these kids conducting sexual satanic rituals here in the cemetery. There was one part about them performing a sex act on a fucking cat, Rob. And I'm not making that up. So there's a lot of stuff we fucking deal with here, bro. A lot of, content.
Poor pussy.
It's hard to talk about. And anytime you fuckers go talk about sexually assaulting a cat is when we draw the fucking line in the sand. I can't even fucking talk about it without fucking choking up.
This little shitty kitty.
They can't defend themselves. Little fucking kitty cats. They got them little penises. You ever seen a cat penis before?
I haven't.
It's got fucking teeth on it.
It sounds about
It's got
right.
little hairs like a steak knife.
Cats are little assholes.
So he said that he's got this woman named Lucia that he's kind of said this. She's the one causing all these issues. She came to him in his dreams that he had these fucking god awful dreams with her. Now he performed some further investigating. He discovered that she had since passed away. And I read in some of my research that Lucia was the blind sleepwalking companion that was leading him around.
Okay.
No, but whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. Through his investigating, he discovered that she was buried in the Great Northern London Cemetery. And in 1982, Sean Manchester set out into the cemetery to find Lucia and bring the reign of terror to an end. Manchester claims he conducted a necromantic ritual.
Oh, now we're getting sexy.
Whatever the fuck that is. At Lucia's grave at Great Northern London Cemetery in 1982 to summon her. Now, once he performed the necromantic ritual, Sean did come into contact with Lucia. She appeared as a spider-like creature the size of a fucking cat.
Oh, that's fucking scary.
Tag me out. I don't do cats. I do cats, but not like that. I don't do spiders, and I don't do cat-sized spiders, okay?
Can you just imagine like a human head on a cat body with long-ass legs?
What are you here for?
Get the fuck over here.
I want chicken. I want liver. Meow mix, please deliver. Meow, meow, meow. Oh, it was the most enormous, and this is from his book, Sean Manchester's book. He says, it was the most enormous spider imaginable. In that light, it appeared to compare to the size of a full-grown cat and was slowly edging towards the rim of charcoal powder. So he made part of his defense, he surrounded himself with charcoal powder. Slowly it reached the edge of my protective circle. Then, quickening its pace, it scurried back and forth in the most terrifying manner around the perimeter. He demanded it. He demanded in the name of Jesus Christ. Well, you gotta rise above the pressure. In the name of Jesus. He demanded it to be still, and amazingly, it stopped in its tracks.
Oh, it's submissive.
He took it. It was very submissive. He then took this opportunity.
Good kitty.
He raised his 12-ounce porterhouse London broil steak above his head and drove it through this foul creature. And as Manchester asserts, something wet and glutinous oozed stickily as I pressed the stake still further.
I've never used the word glutinous in my life.
I'm allergic to gluten, so I try not to fucking...
The choice of adjectives are so great.
So
glutinous.
There's only one thing to do once you're all fine and well until they get inside your charcoal powder. And then it's time to start making stuff come out of the butts.
It's like the episode of SpongeBob where he gets attacked by the sea bear. He has to make that circle.
Oh, bad kitty. Bad kitty. So he says something wet and glutinous, ooze stickily, as he pressed the stake further and further.
I want a steak now.
Yeah. Sorry. As dawn approached, it metamorphosized into Lucia. She had only now truly died. He returned her remains to the grave, thus ending the case of the Highgate Vampire.
Oh.
But this does not stop.
Oh my God.
The what do we want to call it? The rivalry between Ferret and Manchester.
Oh yeah.
When rumors started to spread, this is taken from Wikipedia, that they would meet in a magician's duel on Parliament Hill on Friday the 13th, April 1973.
Fucking Harry and Voldemort.
It was. And Manchester went in the news. He said, we'll start with swords. So they were going to fight with fucking swords for the first fight. And then for the second fight, they were just going to fight with purely magic.
Ah, damn it.
I'm so serious right now.
Man, I'd pay for this to see this on pay-per-view.
Can I call a timeout? I think I might have shat my pants. I think I might have shotted.
Can you imagine seeing fucking Ferret's crazy ass coming at you with a sword?
I'm not strong enough to lift it up off the ground. Jesus,
He's running around like he's being chased by bees. Just swinging a sword.
So they said, let's get down. Parliament Hill, Friday the 13th, April 1973. We're going to be sword fighting. We're going to have another pissing contest. We're going to pee in each other's pee-pees. We're going to have a magic contest. But Ferret never made it that far, as he was jailed in 1974 for damaging memorials and interfering with dead remains at Highgate Cemetery.
No way.
He was also incarcerated for vandalism and desecration, which he insisted had been caused by the Satanists, not him.
It's always the Satanists. It was Ferret. I know it was. After seeing that guy's picture, he just looks guilty.
He just looks like some fucking creep that would hang out in a cemetery, doesn't he?
I swear I've seen him down in the Oregon before. Just hanging out on the streets.
Dude, he's so rough looking.
Yeah, he is.
But this episode was courtesy of David Forbes. I do not think that...
Rich as fuck.
Yeah.
The magazine guy.
Forbes 500.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever ended up writing us back. I was going to check my...
He's across the pond, so he's probably asleep.
He is across the pond. And it's the middle of the night there. We changed times here in America, which is, well, Ohio, more specifically.
Uh-huh.
Did you happen to see Bohemian Rhapsody?
I have not seen it.
I did see it.
I have to find someone to go with because my wife won't go because she doesn't want to see it.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's sad.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned about Freddie Mercury, and this is not really a spoiler.
Was it anything to do with the llama?
Not at all, actually.
Damn it.
He was a fucking cat fanatic.
Really? That doesn't surprise me.
He had dozens of cats, and then when he would go on tour, he would call home, and then whoever was house sitting for him, he would be like, they would be like, yeah, Freddie, the house is fine. He'd be like, put the cats on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
Talk to the cats on the phone. And that was like his thing, is he always wanted to talk to his cats. And let his cats know he was doing all right.
It's like off of a bad show. Like they won't come to the phone, so the person's like, meow. It's like, that's not Skittles. Where is she?
Put her on the phone, please. I asked nicely.
I love that guy.
Don't make me...
Well, I mean, he's dead. I don't really know, but...
Don't make me bleed on you. So the worst part of that movie, the end of the movie, my wife's like, you think there's going to be a sequel? I'm like, you fucking dickhead. No. Kind of like Titanic. You kind of know what happens going in.
Right.
The motherfucker's going down.
Yeah.
By going down, I mean he's having sex with men. That's all fine, though.
Hey,
To to each their own. I've heard that sometimes that stuff can feel good. I cannot confirm nor deny. I do not know. I saw a cheerleader on Facebook set on like something threw her up in the air and she landed on a railing. Like the railing went right up the butt. That looked like it hurt.
Ah, man.
That looked like it hurt really bad.
I don't want to even think about that.
See all kinds of stupid shit on Facebook, man.
Poor cheerleader.
It does.
Was it our group?
Speaking of our group, there's some fucking sexual deviants in there.
Yeah.
Men, we had to lay down the law this week and say, hey, be nice to the ladies. So if you do join Butt Chuckers Anonymous, don't come in there trying to pick up a date. Go to You Don't Have to Be Lonely.
Just go to a family reunion
at farmersonly.com.
Still waiting for a sponsorship from them. Many times we've shouted them out.
So I think that would be fantastic.
I'm down.
The one segment we've been skipping past is I like to ask you the dick size of some of the main characters in our story. We've got 3 dicks to talk about here.
Let's talk about these dicks.
First one, Sean Manchester. What was he swinging?
He seems pretty put together.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem, I don't think he seems to be overcompensating a lot, so I'm going to go with...
He's the one you heard in the beginning of the episode. He's like, the only way to properly kill it is to drive a sirloin steak through its heart.
I'm going to go with a solid 5-incher.
I was going to say 7.
Oh, you're going big.
7.5, yeah.
All right.
Next, we're going to go with David Farrant.
That poor guy.
I used to have a dick, and then it fell off. It got bit off by a vampire. A wamper.
I think his dick probably looks like a little Lego person. Size and shape.
Oh, Jesus. I think it looks like a McDonald's chicken nugget.
Short and fat.
Yeah.
Some chode.
Jeez. And now the last one in our story is the Highgate Vampire himself.
Oh, he's fucking slinging.
He's got one of those ones that curves up like a Viking horn.
But it's probably like really long and bowed up, but the head is like 3 times wider. So it's like a spade. It's like a shovel.
As always, I always like to reference. I think he was probably blessed with a 2 to 3 inch red rocket, just because I think
you just want everything to have a red rocket.
Anything besides a human has a red rocket. But it makes sense though. All animals have red rockets.
It's very true.
We're the only things that don't have red rockets.
Oh man, we're lucky in that aspect.
Fucking scientists, Rob. That's what we are.
Oh man.
So if you guys had fun this episode, we could not get in contact with Mr. David Forbes, but thank you, David, so much for your Patreon pledge.
Yeah, thank you. This was a fun one.
He sent us another story. He's like, I got a couple funny things you can talk about. And we got a couple seconds here. He sent us another article called Hairy Hands.
Hey. Is this from jerking off too much?
No.
Is this one of those things?
You would think it was caused from jerking off too much, but this is taken from
Hairy Hands.
This is taken from Wikipedia. I just pulled up the article right here. It says, the legend of the Hairy Hands is set in Post Bridge, Dartmoor. The road is now known as the B3212. According to the story surrounding them, the Hairy Hands are a pair of disembodied hands that appear suddenly. They grab the steering wheel of a moving car or the handlebars of a motorcycle and then force the victim off the fucking road.
That's fucked up.
Like when I hear Hairy Hands, I just picture like driving down a back road and like this big fucking Bigfoot thing comes out in the middle of the road and puts his hands like, hey. You're driving too fucking fast, pal. You need to slow the fuck down. He puts up a high 10. He's got his hands up in the air.
I just think of like the Addams Family thing. There's just is that what it is?
Thing or it? Yeah. I can't remember.
It's just a hand just crawling across the road.
Yeah. Hey! Slow down.
That would have been a pretty funny episode.
Yeah,
if there's enough subjects.
There's
subject matter.
A lot of stuff that happened, but it's all kind of the same thing. A fucking pair of hairy hands.
It's like that movie Rubber, where it's just a tire killing people.
I've never seen that one.
It's so fucking good.
Oh, check that out.
He has like telekinesis. He starts shaking and he can blow things up. It's so good.
Right.
Yeah, it's trashy and it's
That's
great.
telekinesis, Kyle.
It's time for Rob's rip of the episode.
Yeah, rip it. Oh, that was a good one for you. You're getting a lot better.
Look at that. That was a really good one. I just clouded you out.
You're fine. You're getting a lot better at that.
I know.
Smoke every day. But that was the legend of the hairy hands. If you're cursed with hairy hands, write us, brohiopodcast@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Let us know what you got going on with your hairy hands.
Send us a picture of your hairy hands.
Send us a picture of your hairy hands.
Hairiest hand wins a handshake.
And if you send a picture of your hairy hands wrapped around your hairy cock, we'll send you $5. Rob will.
If you're a woman with hairy hands, that's even better.
Could you imagine like being a woman with like your entire life goal is to be a hand model and you have really hairy hands?
I think that was on an episode of MTV's Made.
The kind of hairy hands where you shave the top of your hand and then by like 10 a.m. you got prickly hair knuckles again. Like,
you got razor burn all over your hands.
Oh.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much. We love you.
We do.
And we
hope you enjoyed this episode.
Talk to you later.
Bye.